Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. What if I guess today is a brand new Division 2 video, and today I want to give you guys some tips and tricks on PvE. Now, I do understand that the standard edition of the game just came out and a lot of you guys are grinding PvE. If it's main missions, if it's side missions, if it's just pretty much getting gear and going into Dark Zone, whatever the case is, I wanted to make this video and give you guys some tips and tricks I have learned over the past 40 hours or so of playing the game, from the best weapons to the skills, to the gear, and just other tips I have learned over the past hours, as I said. So if you guys do enjoy this video or find it helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and let's get right into this. Before I continue, I do want to say that this video is mainly going to focus on players who are level 1 through 30. I'm not really going to talk about the endgame too much because that might be in a later video on the channel, but for this one, as I said, we're going to stay on the portion and the topic of 1 through 30. And pretty much give you guys my tips I have learned, as I said. So first of all, for the weapons, the two main category of weapons I would recommend using for PvE are LMGs and rifles. First of all, for the LMGs, honestly, they're just really good. There's really no other way to put this. I said this in the open beta and the private beta, but the LMGs are just really good. They have a lot of bullets in them, they do insane damage, the range on them is really good, they're really easy to handle, and just overall, they're very solid as a weapon category. The only downside to them is they take forever to reload, but if you can spec some reload speed on like your weapon mods, then you should be fine. And I don't know, it's just really good to use LMGs, I would say. Most of the missions you are playing, usually the NPCs are kind of together, you can spray them, or whenever you're fighting a boss, those 100 bullets are going to take down the armor of that boss really quickly, and just overall, as I said, LMGs are really nice, like the M60 and the M249 are probably my go-to as of right now for those weapons. Now the second category is rifles. Rifles like the SIG, the Police MK17, the MDR, or even the ACR are probably my go-to. I did select the sharpshooter, so I've been using the rifles a little bit more and more, and they're just insane as well. The only thing you have to do with them is kind of be accurate. You can't just, hold down the trigger, obviously. They are single fire weapons and it can get annoying, and I do understand it's not for everyone. Single fire weapons are a little annoying to use, as I said, especially if you're on consoles. But on PC, and if you have decent aim and you can kind of hit headshots really consistently, rifles are going to kind of benefit you a lot, and you're going to be doing so much freaking damage, especially if you spec like headshot damage and you have a specific kind of build around rifle damage and like headshot damage and accuracy. Then a rifle build will be, absolutely insane. Obviously, SMGs and assault rifles, I'm not saying they're bad, I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, but from my experience, the LMGs and rifles were kind of my go-to weapon categories, and that's what it seems like everyone using as well for PvE as of right now. Up next, I do want to talk about the skills. So, in my opinion, the skills in this game are very, very good no matter what you use. But from my experience and what I've been using, there's about 4 of them that I like the most, and here is the list. So first of all, the drone. The drone is very good. The two kind of superior ones I would say are the Fixer and the Defender drones. These ones are very good for solo play. If you're doing strongholds or if you're doing main story missions by yourself, these two kind of categories of this drone are going to be very useful. They're going to keep you alive, give you pretty much armor with the Fixer drone, and the Defender drone is going to deflect incoming bullets and make you stay alive a little bit longer. The next one I would recommend using is the Hive, and either the Restorer or the Reviver. Those two Hive categories are very good. The Reviver is really nice if you are by yourself, again, or if you're playing with someone who goes down a lot and you don't want to pick them up every single time. You could just throw this Hive on them, it's going to pick them up pretty much instantly, and it's just really, really clutch, I would say. Again, for those harder missions and later on in the game. The Restorer is pretty much like a support station from the Division 1 if you guys did play the game. It's going to heal you over time, it's really nice. The cooldown on it is kind of crazy, but the healing and just the kind of purpose of it is very, very nice. Moving on, the next skill I would recommend using is the Assault Turret. Honestly, this is pretty much the only good one I would say out of the 3. This one's very, very good. It does decent damage. But the reason why I like it a lot is it's because it's a really good distraction. If you're playing those kind of story missions that are kind of hard and they have multiple bosses in them, the bosses will usually focus on the turret. They'll try to destroy it, like stomp on it or just shoot it, and that's going to give you a little window to pretty much take the armor down of that boss and kill him pretty fast and not have to worry about him shooting you constantly, and obviously it's going to do some damage, it's going to do a little bit of impact like that. So I don't know, the assault turret is really good and really useful, especially for a kind of distraction purpose. The final skill I do want to talk about is the chem launcher. Now this one personally is not my favorite one. I do find it to be kind of clunky sometimes, but it is really good from a kind of useful perspective wise. So the first one I would recommend using is the reinforcer. The reinforcer is pretty much like a healing skill. It's going to be shot by you on the ground for your teammates, or you guys can kind of pop it on the ground as well and heal yourselves. It's really nice. The cooldowns on it are really short as well, so you guys can use this kind of multiple times, and it's really useful. It actually kind of gives you a lot of health back as well, which is, you know, really nice for those harder missions. Now the next one I do want to talk about is the oxidizer. The oxidizer is a canister that releases a cloud of gas that damages enemy armor, skills, and causes damage over time. So this one's really good for kind of crowd control. If you're doing missions that have a lot of kind of NPCs bunched together, you guys can shoot this and it's pretty much going to disable them for a little bit, and it's really useful as well. So as I said, if you want to try the chem launcher, these two variants are the best ones in my opinion. Okay, the next thing I do want to talk about is actually gear. Now gear is kind of hard to talk about when you are level 1 through 30 because obviously you're going to be swapping gear kind of constantly. I would say whenever you finish a mission, you get better level gear or better armor gear. You're going to be swapping that for your build. So the couple tips I do want to say is, first of all, make sure you use one gear piece at least with the weapon damage you are using on that build. So for example, if you're using LMGs, make sure you use a gear piece with LMG damage so you can get a bit more damage and kill those NPCs a bit faster. Also try looking for gear that has like protection from elite or extra armor or health on it so it can help you out. Again, if you're struggling to do those harder missions in PVE, something like that can definitely help you out. The final PVE tips I do want to give you guys are pretty simple. So the first one I do want to talk about is actually doing your control points. Now, I'm not saying this because of the XP or the progression or the completion of the control points. I'm talking about doing them because at the end, you actually get to open a safe room, and this safe room actually gives you some really good gear. This is really useful if you're making a specific build, or even later on, when you are level 30, you guys can open these control points or pretty much finish them and later on open these rooms. And these rooms, as I said, are going to give you some really good gear, weapons, and just overall some decent materials. The next thing is I would recommend doing your projects and just finishing your projects. From this, you get weapon mod blueprints, which are really important. You also get different weapon blueprints, and just overall, doing these projects is a really nice way to get XP as well. So make sure you definitely do them. Go to your theater and just see what projects you can do. And the last thing I do want to tell you guys is actually go to your inventory options and change your inventory to grid. This is a bit more useful and a bit more better, I would say, on your eyes if you are making multiple builds, or if you just want to see what you have in your inventory. This is a little bit of a better layout, I would say. We couldn't do this in the Division 1, but in this one you can do this. And as I said, it's a little bit better in my opinion. It's a little hard to get used to at first, but once you get used to, just overall the experience is a bit faster if you're making multiple builds or if you just want to see what you have on your character. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have any questions about the video, let me know in the comments. I respond to all my comments. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.